Good afternoon, BNI. Thank you for joining us for Visitor Day Support Webinar, Week 4. My name is Jenni Nering. I'm the Executive Director for the SoCal BNI region, which includes Long Beach, the South Bay, and all of Orange County. So thank you for joining us this Friday afternoon as we take you through the step-by-step process of the Week 4 Visitor Day preparation information. For those of you that have joined us before on these webinars, this will be repetitive here at the beginning, but for those of you newbies, we welcome you and we want to make sure that we give you all the info you need to enjoy and get value out of this webinar. So we will be keeping all of our participants on listen only. If you have questions as we go along, please feel free to type them in. Don't be shy. You can use the webinar control panel, type in questions, comments, or clarification that you may need, and I will get to those either during the webinar or at the very end before we wrap up. Under the handout section of the control panel, you'll find a few different handouts. There are 3 handouts available for today's webinar. These are available for you to download directly from the control panel. They're also available in BNI Connect under the download section. And once your chapter begins the Visitor Day process, beginning with week 1 of the 6-week prep process, your chapter members will be placed in the support email campaign. And each week leading up to the Visitors Day, they'll receive a reminder email of what should be taking place that week. And in addition, the attachments will be included for each week. So step by step, we're serving it up on a silver platter. And then finally, just to keep everybody informed that this webinar is being recorded, it will be available for future reference if you should need it. It will also be included in the weekly email campaign that is sent to the chapters participating in the official Visitor Day process. So as I mentioned, this is week 4 of our 7-week series. If you missed the previous weeks, nothing to worry about there. We've got them recorded and we're happy to share them with you so that you can have a successful Visitor's Day. If that's the case and you do need access to week 1, 2, or 3, please send an email to info, I-N-F-O, at SoCalBNI.com and we'll get that sent right off to you. Once again, that's info at SoCalBNI.com. Everything that we do throughout our Visitor Day process should honor our BNI core values. And so it's important to make sure that we're keeping this in front of all of our members as we walk step by step through the Visitor Day process. If you've gone through the Visitor Day workshop or you're getting ready to go through the Visitor Day workshop, we reference throughout that training the different aspects of the process that honor these core values: giver's gain and lifelong learning, accountability, recognition. It's all part of creating a great Visitor's Day. So it's important that we remind our members and that our members that are leading this process continue to remind the members that they support that everything that we do should really be in line and honor these core values. So week 4 is the final week for invitation letters. By this week, every member should have turned in 20 letters on week 3. And then on week 4, during Stand and Deliver, this is the week that all members are turning in their remaining letters. So all 40 letters are expected to be turned in by the end of week 4's chapter meeting. We want them turned in during Stand and Deliver so we can celebrate the excitement. It's really encouraging to see that basket full of all of the letters. Definitely builds a lot of momentum and enthusiasm. Immediately following the chapter meeting on week 4, the leadership team will mail out those letters. So they'll be mailed right after that chapter meeting so that members can begin making those follow-up calls and collecting their RSVPs. As a friendly reminder, we've had a few people sign on to our webinar after we did the housekeeping. I do have all of our participants on listen only. So if you have questions along the way, please go ahead and type them in. on the webinar control panel, and it'd be my pleasure to answer them as we go or make sure that they get answered before we wrap up our webinar today. So for our education coordinator presentation on week 4, it is ideal if during this week you have access, if you're the education coordinator, to a projector and screen so that you can give a live demonstration of pre-registering the visitors. We want to make sure that all visitors are pre-registered for the weekly meetings. However, if your chapter is not in the habit of doing that, we at least want to make sure that you've got all of them pre-registered for the visitor day. This really helps to make sure that those visitors get appropriately followed up with prior to the visitors day. They get a really professional looking email that provides them with the details of the location and a reminder email. In addition, your visitor hosts will love you for pre-registering the visitors. By pre-registering the visitors, it creates a very professional looking sign-in sheet, which has all of the data for the visitors, so it's legible, and it helps to streamline the check-in process. It will also allow your visitor host to prepare the name badges in advance because they'll have a list of all the pre-registered visitors. In the Visitor Day Handbook on page 25, you'll find the step-by-step instructions for how to pre-register the visitors. However, if you'd like an even easier way to pre-register your visitors, if just one person, preferably the event coordinator from your chapter, will send an email to me, Jenni, Jenni, at SoCalBNI.com, and I'll send them the chapter-specific registration link. It's a one-click link which pulls up what you see here on this slide that we're looking at right now for your for your members to easily register all of their visitors. This link is not just specific for Visitor Day. This is what members should be pre-registering their visitors for every single week, or using to pre-register their visitors every single week. However, for Visitor Day, it really is the only way to go to make sure you guys get the best results for all the effort you've put in thus far. So if you want that individual chapter specific link, I request that just one person from your chapter, the event coordinator preferably, send me an email and I'd be happy to send them that link, which they can then share with the rest of the members. So education coordinator, week 4, you're helping to teach the members how to pre-register their visitors for the upcoming event. The event coordinator on week 4 is all about the follow-up. Your presentation is completely focused on the importance of following up, the value in following up, and reviewing the follow-up phone call scripts. So in the handout section of the webinar, you'll find the follow-up scripts available for you. Feel free to go ahead and download those. They'll also be one of the attachments that comes in the weekly Visitor Day support email. So what we recommend is that the event coordinator use this time during the meeting to actually go through the follow-up phone call scripts. I recommend the event coordinator to print out enough copies of the script for all members and any visitors that may be in attendance. Pair your members up and have them actually go through the script together. Perhaps you call on a couple volunteers and have them come up and give an example demonstration of how these follow-up calls should go. We don't want the first follow-up calls to be practice for your members, so this is a really important step to make sure that members have gone through the script before they begin their follow-up calls. Now, depending on the chapter size, the size of your chapter, during week 5, there may not be time to go over the hard truths about follow-up, which is one of the handouts. So we've included that as an attachment for week 4 as well. It may be necessary to include this on week 4 when you're talking about the follow-up calls, because during week 5, your director will be out to visit and they'll be taking the keynote spot to help prepare all those final details for your successful Visitors Day. So during the 8-week schedule, you'll see that we talk about the hard truths about follow-up during week 5, but please take note that it could also be done during week 4 if necessary. and it should take place during the event coordinator's presentation. The mentors during week 4 have an important job of confirming with all of their mentees that they know how to pre-register their confirmations, that they know how to get the information plugged in so all of their confirmed visitors receive the confirmation email and the follow-up. In addition, they're making their visitor host's job a lot easier by helping them to prepare that visitor sign-in sheet when they pre-register their visitors. In addition, mentors should make sure that all of their mentees have a clear understanding of how to complete their slips and that they're prepared to have something to contribute at the visitor's day. Now, please don't confuse this with trying to sandbag. We want the visitors to experience something real at the visitor's day, so do not hold on to slips. But please make sure, mentors, that you're working with your mentees to encourage their activity and participation through one-to-ones and referrals, and that they know how to prepare their thank you for closed business slips so that that portion of the meeting is very impressive at the visitor's day, but we want it to be a reflection of real activity, not something that's held on to for weeks and weeks. The leadership team on week 4, after the meeting is adjourned, will be placing all of the invitation letters in the mail. So this is the final week to turn in the 40 letters. We request that 20 letters are submitted on week 3, and then the final 20 letters are submitted during Stand and Deliver on week 4. So at this point, every member of the chapter should have submitted 40 letters. And immediately following the meeting, the leadership team will place those in the mail so your invitees begin receiving their invitations. Also on week 4, the membership committee should plan to hold a quick huddle after the chapter meeting. This is an opportunity for the membership committee to discuss any member concerns or red flags that they may have. Perhaps there are members that have not participated in the process of inviting for the Visitors Day, or there may be some attendance concerns. Anything that should be addressed prior to the Visitors Day, this is a good opportunity for the membership committee to just take a couple minutes after the chapter meeting and address those with each other so they can come up with their plan of action. Of course, membership committee should take time to reach out to all absent members after that chapter meeting to let them know that they were missed. Let them know about the exciting meeting that they missed out on as everyone was submitting their letters. We want this to be a positive phone call, but also it is important that we're holding our members accountable to the commitment that they make to each other. And so this is an opportunity for the membership committee to touch base with them personally. I don't encourage doing this by email. This is a phone call, and really to express that sincerity that they were missed. Week 4, your Visitor Day support email. When you receive this email, there will be a few attachments included. One will be the follow-up phone call scripts, the instructions for pre-registering the visitors, which is also on page 25 of the Visitor Day workbook. And in addition, once again, as with week 1, 2, and 3, there is also going to be the attachment of the 8-week preparation schedule, just to make sure that it's staying in front of all of the members and they know exactly where they're at in the process. In week 3, we went over a few miscellaneous items, and I'm going to continue to remind you of these during week 4. These aren't the types of items that you want to save until the very end, and these also aren't requirements. As we talk about in the Visitor Day workshop, we have the bells and whistles, and we have the nuts and bolts. These are more bells and whistle items, but we've found that many members find value in including these in part of their Visitor Day process. However, if your chapter is planning to include any of these miscellaneous items, they need to be planned well in advance to make sure that they don't become a distraction at the Visitors Day. So it's always a great idea to have the member promotional table where members have miscellaneous items that help to provide more visibility for their business, such as pens, trifolds, brochures, business cards. If maybe you have a photographer in your chapter and they want to have a display of their work out on the member promotional table, all of these items are really great to have out for Visitors Day. However, they need to be planned in advance. So one member in your chapter will be designated to handle the promotional table if the chapter will be having one at Visitors Day, and members should be told in advance to get their materials to that individual. They should not save it until the day of. During the Visitors Day, we do not pass around the business card box, as it has a tendency to get stuck at one of the tables and not make its way all the way around the Visitors Day to each and every visitor. So rather than passing the business card box around, what many of our chapters choose to do is collect their members' business cards in advance and put together almost like a goodie bag or a swag bag, something that they give to each visitor as they check in, or something that's maybe at their place setting, which includes each and every chapter member's business cards in one convenient package. If your chapter is planning to have any special seating arrangements, maybe by power teams or anything of that sort, that needs to be planned in advance. Same with any room decorations such as balloons or event signage. You want to make sure that those things are planned in advance so they, once again, don't become a distraction for the Visitors Day event. If there are any questions, comments, or clarification that any of you have or questions that you may have, please go ahead and type them in. We've got a few minutes here for me to take questions, make sure that the information I shared with you is clear, and if there's anything I can do to be of support so that you have the most successful Visitors Day possible, be my pleasure to take those questions now. In addition, as a reminder, we do have weeks 1, 2, and 3 of these support webinars recorded. So if you missed those, feel free to reach out to us so we can get those sent to you. If you send an email to info, I-N-F-O, we can get those sent out to you. One of our attendees is asking about the handouts that I've referenced. Those handouts are available a few different ways. One, they are available here in this webinar as downloads. So if you look at the control panel of the webinar, there's a button that says handouts. I've uploaded 3, so feel free to go ahead and download those. If you've missed any from the previous week, those are available in BNI Connect under the download section. In addition, they'll be included as attachments during the weekly email visitor support campaign. Do we have any other questions before we wrap up today? Great question. One of our participants is asking how they go about getting their Visitors Day scheduled with the regional office. Don't wait too long because the calendar is booking up quickly. And we want to make sure that we have the right support in place to help you and help to showcase your chapter on the actual Visitors Day. So if you have not yet booked your event, we would request that you work with your leadership team. So if you're not a leadership team member, circle back around with them and confirm that it hasn't yet been scheduled with us. If it has not, your leadership team should reach out to info@SoCalBNI.com. Raina will be working to coordinate with my schedule and the chapter schedule to make sure that we can get you guys on the books. Great question. Is it true that there are Visitor Day workshops being hosted at the regional office complimentary? Yes, that is true. We have a few of our Visitor Day workshops that are scheduled to take place at the regional office. Pre-registration is required, and then after the members attend, they will be reimbursed the registration fee. So check out the events calendar if you want to take advantage of that offer. We'd love to have you here at the regional office. The chapter hosted Visitor Day workshops, those registrations are not complimentary. We put those on as a convenience for the chapters that feel that they don't wish to travel to the regional office. So those are still posted on our event calendar, and you're welcome to participate, pre-register for those. However, please keep in mind that only the ones hosted at our regional office are complimentary. One of our participants said that they're unable to download the handouts. That's not a problem at all. If you just send me an email, Jenni, Jenni, at SoCalBNI.com, I'd be happy to respond right away with those handouts so you have them available. It looks like that may be all the questions we have for this webinar. I invite you to take a look at the events calendar located at SoCalBNI.com so that you can see when the next webinars, the support webinars, are taking place. We've got week 5, week 6, week 7 and 8 will be combined as one webinar, but we'd love to have you participate in those as well. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Friday afternoon. We look forward to being part of your successful Visitors Day. And remember that your future is bright with BNI. Have a great weekend.